Within minutes, naval intelligence identified it. In an event that echoes the tension of Cold War-era brinkmanship, the Royal Navy recently intercepted a Russian spy ship operating suspiciously close to British territorial waters. What began as a routine maritime patrol turned into a dramatic naval encounter with geopolitical ramifications, raising urgent questions about national security, espionage, and the fragile balance of peace in European waters. This is not fiction. It's a stark reminder of the dangerous game being played beneath the surface of international diplomacy. And it's time for every citizen to pay attention. It was a brisk spring morning when operators aboard a British maritime surveillance post picked up an unfamiliar signature on radar. The vessel appeared to be skimming the edge of UK territorial waters, not an uncommon occurrence in the ever-busy North Sea. But this ship wasn't just any commercial freighter or fishing trawler. Its profile, radio silence, and movement pattern raised immediate red flags. Yantar, a Russian intelligence gathering ship equipped with deep-sea submersibles and sophisticated surveillance equipment. Though publicly declared as an oceanographic research vessel, NATO and independent analysts have long accused the Yantar of spying on undersea cables and conducting covert reconnaissance missions. This time, the ship wasn't just loitering in international waters. It was dangerously close to strategic infrastructure, including the UK's undersea internet cables and offshore energy platforms. The order came quickly. HMS Portland, a Type 23 frigate equipped with the state-of-the-art sonar and anti-submarine warfare capabilities, was dispatched to intercept shadow the Russian vessel. The Royal Navy's mission was clear: assert British sovereignty, gather intelligence, and deter any possible hostile action. What followed was a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. As HMS Portland approached the Yantar, the Russian crew altered their course, veering away from sensitive cable zones but continuing to lurk just beyond the UK's 12 nautical mile territorial line. The British frigate maintained close proximity, making its presence unmistakable. Helicopters were launched for aerial surveillance, and Royal Navy divers were put on alert. According to sources inside the Ministry of Defence, the Yantar had been mapping the seabed, likely identifying nodes in the UK's digital communication web. A breach or tap into these cables could compromise not only government communications, but also banking systems, airline logistics, and emergency response networks. This was not just spying. It was preparation for digital sabotage, and the UK knew it. Just as tensions began to ease after 48 hours of close monitoring, the Yantar made a bold move. Around 3:15 a.m. local time, it launched a submersible, likely a deep-diving autonomous underwater vehicle, AUV, directly into waters near a cluster of undersea cables. HMS Portland immediately responded, deploying sonar buoys and positioning itself between the Russian ship and the cables. What happened next remains partially classified, but high-level sources have confirmed a rapid escalation. British Defence Forces activated electronic warfare countermeasures to disrupt the submersible's communication. Unconfirmed reports suggest the submersible briefly lost power and drifted into UK territorial waters, a direct violation of maritime law. Faced with mounting pressure and a visible show of force by the Royal Navy, the Yantar recovered the submersible and began retreating toward international waters. But the message was clear. This wasn't a scientific expedition. It was a hostile reconnaissance mission testing the limits of NATO resolve. This incident is not an isolated one. Russian naval provocations have increased sharply in recent years, particularly in the Arctic, the Baltic Sea, and now the North Atlantic. While military analysts argue about whether these acts are precursors to hybrid warfare or merely posturing, one fact remains: the line between peace and conflict is becoming increasingly blurred. Cyber warfare, undersea sabotage, and electronic surveillance are the new front lines. Countries like Russia are investing heavily in non-conventional strategies, and the West must adapt swiftly or risk being left vulnerable. The UK's infrastructure is heavily dependent on a network of undersea cables that carry over 95% of global communications. A single breach could cripple digital communication, halt financial markets, and even interfere with military coordination. Yet despite this threat, public awareness remains dangerously low. The Royal Navy's swift and precise response to the Yantar incident is a testament to the professionalism and preparedness of Britain's maritime forces. Behind the headlines are thousands of servicemen and women working 24/7 to defend against threats that most citizens will never see. But they cannot do it alone. Cybersecurity, defense infrastructure, and public readiness are national responsibilities. The days when national security was confined to battlefields and borders are gone. Today, it lives in data centers, fiber optic cables, and the silent depths of the ocean. This incident should serve as a wake-up call. For the government, invest more in maritime intelligence, cybersecurity, and infrastructure hardening. The digital backbone of our nation must be treated with the same priority as our physical borders. For the private sector, strengthen the resilience of systems tied to undersea cables. Energy, banking, telecoms all must be prepared for coordinated hybrid threats. For the public, stay informed. National defense is no longer just a military issue. Understand the stakes of digital and infrastructure warfare. Support policies that prioritize national security over short-term gains. And finally, for you reading this now, share this story. Talk about it. Pressure your representatives to treat these threats seriously. If a Russian spy ship can sail within reach of our lifelines without broad public outcry, what happens when the next intrusion succeeds? The world is changing. The threats of the future don't march in columns. They hum quietly beneath the sea, flicker across satellites, and exploit the gaps in our digital defenses. The Royal Navy did its job. It stood its ground, exposed a silent enemy, and protected the nation's secrets. Now it's our turn. Don't be silent. Speak up. Demand action. Because the next move in this shadow war may not come with a warning. This incident should serve as a wake-up call, not just for government leaders and defense experts, but for every single one of us. For the government, it's time to prioritize maritime intelligence, cybersecurity, and undersea infrastructure protection. These are not future threats. They're happening now. For private industry, the cables and systems that power our daily lives are vulnerable. Whether it's banking, energy, or telecoms, resilience must be a top priority. For citizens like you and me, national defense is no longer confined to battlefields. It's in our data, our networks, and the deep oceans. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. Here's what you can do right now. Contact your MP and urge immediate investment in naval, cyber, and infrastructure defense. Support our armed forces and veterans who stand watch when most of us sleep. Educate yourself on the real threats facing our modern world. And don't be lulled by the illusion of peace. Secure your digital life. Because cyber defense starts at home. Please subscribe to our newsletter or channel for more in-depth reports, real-time updates, and expert analysis on critical global security issues. Share this article to raise awareness. You never know who needs to read this today. The Royal Navy stepped in when danger loomed beneath the surface. But the defense of our nation doesn't stop at sea. It includes you.